Independence for Change, Deputy Catherine Connolly.
Following up on the same topic, the 10-year strategy published in 2006 set out a comprehensive model of mental health, and it gave a framework for building and fostering mental health across the entire community and providing accessible community-based specialist service minister for people with mental illness. In other words, it told the government back in 2006 what to do, more importantly how to do it, and even more importantly, in the knowledge that any government might not do it, they made a strong recommendation that a monitoring body be set up. That monitoring body was set for 2 3-year periods between 2006 2009 and again between 9 and 12. Significantly, it was disbanded for some reason, so we have no independent monitoring group as per the Vision for Change. That monitoring group, when it did sit, and the Mental Health Commission have repeatedly pointed out that the implementation for the Vision for Change has been slow and inconsistent. This week, the Mental Health Commission again confirms that the Vision for Change is extremely important. It puts the patient at the core in terms of recovery. However, it points out that much needs to be done. In addition, they specifically point out a serious number of failures and things that need to be rectified. Number one, the setting up of an independent monitoring commission. That hasn't been done. I would like your answer on that. Secondly, they called for an immediate review. Since I've come into the Dáil, I've heard statement after statement, and everybody making statements with goodwill, but no answer from the government as to when the review was set up, who sits on the review, and when the review is going to report. In relation to the specific issues highlighted by the Mental Health Commission, some of them have been already mentioned, and I don't think, Minister, it's appropriate to say that they're not that bad, and I'm paraphrasing what you said. There are serious problems with, notwithstanding the good work of the staff, and of the 61 inspected, 6 were only fully compliant. Of those 6, only 1 was a health executive run centre, and well done to that centre in Banlasloe in East Galway. 95 children admitted to the wrong facility. Back in 1997, the European Commission on Human Rights said we were failing to comply with our obligations by not providing appropriate facilities. Here we are 19 years later and we're still doing the same thing. The spending on mental health was as high as 14% in the 1990s when we had very little money, and it's down to 6%. And again, the Vision for Change specifically asks for a figure of at least 8.2%. Finally, in relation to the economy improving, it costs more money not to deal with mental health. On page 176 of the Vision for Change from 2006, they said the figure for the failure to cost mental health or deal with it was €11 billion. Now, I think myself that figure is wrong, but that's the figure that they have in here. So if you could answer the 2 specific questions.
Thank you. I spoke about the importance of compliance, and I certainly accept what you say about, and I didn't mean to suggest in any way that the issues that the other centres who hadn't met full compliance, that they were in any way insignificant issues. But the point I was making is that they were, that the potential for full compliance was certainly there, and that is what the Minister will be pursuing in relation to the points that are made in that report. I have no doubt that the Minister will be addressing the range of recommendations in the report, including the question of monitoring, and I'm sure she will address that. I don't have a specific date, but I have no doubt that that will be an important part of her consideration in terms of the implementation of the recommendations. Secondly, there is a full policy review in this area, which the Minister has announced that she will be doing, and I think that is important. I think everybody would accept that there have been major changes in relation to how we deal with mental health in this country. Thankfully, the stigma that was there has certainly changed, particularly in relation, I notice very much amongst young people, but we know that issues remain in relation to that, and we need a more concerted effort across all of society to make sure people get the kind of help that they need with mental health difficulties at an early enough stage, and that help in the first instance is in the community, and that we have have the inpatient facilities if they are needed. I would point out in the programme for government that there is a full chapter on mental health and in our commitments in relation to a whole variety of issues that have come to people's attention in recent years, including access, for example, seeing the GP, getting greater access to mental health services in primary care, which is extremely important. And the Vision for Change was accepted very much as the roadmap to improve mental health services. We now have the funding. The funding did decrease, unfortunately, at a time when there was very little choice in relation to that, in fact, because of the cycle that we were in and the boom and bust economy that we experienced. Thankfully, now we're in a position to reinvest, and the government has shown its commitment to investment in the health services by the announcement of the 500 million extra just 2 weeks ago, and a proportion of that is for mental health services. So I certainly would be hopeful that the investment, and there is a commitment as well in the programme for government to review annually and to have increased investment in mental health services. And I do believe the issues that you have raised will get the attention that they deserve, and I have no doubt that Minister McEntee will be making a statement on the report.
Thank you very much, Tánaiste. You have a minute, Deputy Connolly.
For the reply, but I don't think the reassurances are good enough at this stage. You have an obligation, and the government has an obligation to reinstate the implementation body. It was part of the Vision for Change, so you're not complying with your duty of care under that Vision for Change. That's number one. You failed to tell me why it was disbanded and why it hasn't been reintroduced. Secondly, in relation to the review has been continuously mentioned and no date has been given, and I specifically asked what date. When did the review start? When is it going to be finished? Who sits on it? Now, this Vision for Change was a 10-year strategy. It finished last January, and we're now in June, and we still have no mention of the review and no date for it. The blueprint was written back in 2006, in that it had a chapter on suicide. In 2006, the incidence of suicide was at crisis proportions in 2006. We don't need statements on how it should be done. It's all there. We need confirmation on how that report is going to be updated, reviewed and implemented, which will save money to the economy. So saying that you don't have money or didn't is not an explanation. It's actually costing more to the economy.
1 minute to conclude.
I think what I have made very clear in my reply to you is that this is a priority issue for government. I recognise your passion for this issue, and as I say, I think it's shared by all of us. It is a priority issue. We are investing in this area, and I will ask the Minister to communicate with you directly in relation to the specific points you raise about the time frame for the review, and also in relation to why the original monitoring committee didn't continue. It may have been time limited at the time. I don't have that information right now, but I'll ask the Minister to liaise directly with you, Deputy, in relation to the questions you've raised.
Much, Tánaiste.